Hello and welcome back to the channel, Kelly Legends Media. I'd like to say thank you to all my subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button down below. Set that notification bell on all so you'll be notified if we ever go live and every time a new video drops. Also, very important, please hit that like button sometime during the video if you like the video. It's a good way to support the channel and it helps us get our videos moving through the algorithm. Okay, so I wasn't going to do a video today. I was going to take the day off, but I always feel guilty when I do that. I took the day off yesterday. I said, okay, that's enough. That's enough rest. All right, so today's video, it's about a gentleman named Roberto Duran, okay? Now, let me talk a little bit about what happened with Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran was committed for a crime and was sentenced to life in prison. He's out of East Los Angeles, out of East LA, okay? And 30 years ago, he began his prison term. Actually, it's been 32 years in total, okay? And he was finally released. Now, part of the reason, well, the only reason why he got convicted actually was testimony from a witness who, after all these years, recanted their testimony, okay? Now, I've spoken on other videos about the way the justice system sometimes works and works against you. And that's one of the biggest ways. One of the biggest way that somebody could destroy you is by testifying against you in court falsely. Also, you have confidential informants that give information to law enforcement about you that could be true or not, but they take it as facts, okay? And they'll try to convict you with that. I've been through that a few times, but the last time I explained, a confidential made false statements against me, which allowed the gang unit to get a warrant for my house to be checked. They came about 3 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't even count. There was so many of them with rifles and riot gear and the whole bit. You know, like you think they were going after Chapo. And man, they tore my house up ugly. There was not one thing left in my dressers. They intentionally jacked my house up. The guy in charge told me if I had any firearms in the house, and I told him no. I lied. I did. I had one. And he told me if he found one that he was going to toss my house up, and he did. But anyways, the point of this story is that a confidential informant gave him this information that I had a drug ring, that I was calling shots in my neighborhood and giving guns to, I guess, to people in my neighborhood, and that we had all kinds of firearms in my house, and there was nothing, you know. No large amounts of money, no weapons. Yeah, the gun, but no, not the way that confidential informant made it sound. There was one pistol, and that happens often. You know, you get a confidential informant on the street. They say, "Hey, man, tell us about this, and that, and we'll let you go." And they start spilling their guts, whether they're lying or telling the truth. In this case, this one witness went and said, "Yeah, that's the guy who did this." Okay, and that wasn't enough for him to get sentenced to prison for life. Well, he got in touch with the Innocent program, and they helped him fight this and get down to the truth. And yeah, that witness recanted, and yep, he's free. You know, so this is just one situation. There's so many people in prison right now that are innocent. You won't believe it, because why everybody's innocent, right? Everybody's going to say, no, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. But, you know, you can't tell if somebody's lying or not. And that's a big problem, you see. But this Innocent program has a staff where they're able to take the time and investigate and ask questions and look into paperwork and find discrepancies and stuff. Anyways, that being said, okay, I'm going to mention another individual Kilmore Garcia. I'm sure you had to have heard about him on the news or on YouTube because it's all over social media, and his situation of him being deported for being an MS gang member because of the tattoos on his hand. President Trump showed a picture of a hand, and I'm going to prove that that's not his hand. That's not his hand, okay? And other things about that hand. The MS-13, it's not tattooed on him. That's something that was superimposed over the picture. And those figures on the fingers, we're going to talk about those in tomorrow's video. The reason why I don't do it today is because I'm going to do it on StreamYard, where I can show you. We're going to go over the paperwork that Dubs presented, okay? Because Dubs presented some paperwork that the government used that shows that he's a gang member, and some other paperwork that shows that he's a criminal, okay? And to me, that means that he was convicted for a crime, okay? If you're not convicted for a crime, I don't think you should be called a criminal. If you've been arrested for a crime, detained, or somebody's made complaints about you, I think that's different. Criminal to me is somebody who was convicted in the court of law and found guilty of their actions, okay? And in any case, there's a lot to that story about Mr. Garcia, and I'm going to cover going through the paperwork, and I'm going to show the discrepancies, okay? And where a confidential informant had something to do with the suspicion of him being a gang member, and how all the other things, his clothing and all of these other nonsense indicators don't mean shit. It's all bullshit. That's what it is, okay? And also, I'm going to prove that this isn't an argument regarding the Democrats and the Republicans. This isn't an argument against having open borders or closed borders. This isn't an argument against deportation. It's none of those things. Everybody wants all of those things to happen. It's to our benefit and benefit of the country. It has to do with due process, okay? With due process and false allegations, okay? And what happened to this man, Roberto Duran, who spent 30 years in prison, incarcerated with a life sentence, 32 years in prison, all his life, okay? All his life. Wasted. Sitting in prison for something he didn't do. Now, if I'm not mistaken, President Trump said, you know, all of these MS gang members that are sitting in prison are costing us a lot of money. We're paying for their care, for their upkeep in prison. And also the Tren de Agua. So he said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to send them to their country, to their prisons, so they could pay for their citizens, right? And that was agreeable. Take them out of prison and send them to prison over there. Why should we pay here in the United States, right? And I was all 100% for that. But not pulling people off the street and sending them to prison because they're illegals. Deport them to the country. Let that country decide whether they need to go to prison or not. But it seems that the United States is judge and jury, you know, and Trump admitted that it was an error. Okay, it was an administrative error, he called it. But he refuses to do anything about it. Why? Because he needs to stand his ground. Why? Because he's a president. He can't be wrong. First of all, he's a criminal. And for fraud of all things, for fraud, for being fake, for being a liar, for fraud's a swindler crime. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, he's a criminal. He is a criminal by the court of law. Okay? But that's a whole other video, a whole other story. Am I glad he's president? Nah. I wish he wouldn't do some of the things he did, but he is doing a lot of good. But there's a lot of things he's doing that are fucking way out, and this is one of them. This man, Kilmore Garcia, he did not get his due process, and that's wrong. And I think that anybody that's going to be picked up off the streets, who's working and has a family and stuff, and you're going to snatch them up, they should have a process that they go through to determine whether they go to prison or they go to a country that they came from, their country of origin. But I don't think they should ever be decided that they get picked up and sent to a prison. That's ridiculous. I thought we were transferring our prisoners from those countries to those prisons, and like flipped it around, turned it upside down, and he just does pretty much whatever he feels like doing. You know what I mean? But it seems that the Supreme Court has put a halt on this. It was a ruling that came out today that he's not going to be no longer able to do that until there's some discussion in court, and that's the right thing to do. Answering little questions during different speeches regarding this issue, or dealing with it on social media isn't the way to do it. He needs to go to court and talk with these judges and the different laws and the different aspects of both sides of this argument need to be presented in court, and a decision needs to be made. That's what the Supreme Court is for. So I'm going to predict something. Maybe I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, but I'm going to predict that Kilmore Garcia, he's going to be brought back. He's not the poster child of anything. He's just a man that was deported without his due process, which he was going through. He came to this country illegally, but he had already been through the courts, and he had court dates still. And in the end of those court dates, if they deported him back to his country, that would have been fine. But he never got a chance to go through the court system and prevent his information, his facts according to him. Instead, hey, what's going on? Instead, look what happened, and look what it's caused. There wouldn't be so much conflict and so much argument if this wasn't a worthy cause, But like I said, this isn't about the Democrats against the Republicans or an attack on not closing the borders, or this young lady that was assaulted and then her life was taken, right, by an MS member. Has nothing to do with this man, but people just bring things up. And I heard it today on social media. Oh yeah, Mr. Kilmore Garcia, they're trying to make him a hero. Nobody's trying to make him a hero. He's just a man who didn't have due process here in the United States, man, and that's part of our Constitution. Anyways, that video will be tomorrow. I got to work on it. I really don't like working on StreamYard. I always make a mess of things. But I'm going to try my best so I could present my case and show you that hand that they're showing is not his hand. Okay? The accusations of him being a gang member are coming from a CI and from the government officials that picked him up in the first place. They and even their paperwork contradicts itself. I'm going to show you everything tomorrow. I hope you guys check out the video. I'm going to do my best to make it a banger, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But man, you know what? This Roberto Duran, man, who got his life back, congratulations to him. That's a beautiful thing, a wonderful thing. He may not have a great quality of life right now, but I'm sure it's better than prison. And he may not have a long time left to do the things that would have helped to make his dreams come true. Nevertheless, he has an opportunity to do something now under his own power, and not being told when to eat, when to sleep, when to get into your room, when to stand up, when to turn the light on, all of this other nonsense that you go through every day of your life in prison, and he's back with his family and loved ones. So I think it was a wonderful thing that that the Innocent Program was able to get this man out of prison. It's not the first, it won't be the last. There's a lot of innocent people that get treated unfairly. And believe it or not, I believe that Kilmore Garcia, although he may not be the best character in the world or the best person, hey, people are imperfect. We all do things, we all make mistakes, but we're all trying to do life the best we could. But if we're going to be accused of something, let us answer to it, and then the courts could, or the government could do with us accordingly, Anyways, it's my opinion. I'm going to share my reaction on Doug's video. Another young lady that spoke on this, and really I'm just putting her so you can see the faces that she makes and stuff, because every video I see against them are these faces, these people rolling their eyes and shaking their heads and making these crazy faces like they're appalled, It's not that serious. It's just a man that wasn't given due process, and we think it's important because we all want that. We all need that. It makes us more civil. It makes us more knowledgeable when we make decisions to send somebody to prison for 20 years, because that's the way they imprison those guys over there. You're from Mara Salvatrucha, you're going to be in there 20 years at least, Yeah, it could be very unfair, just like it was to Roberto Duran here from East Los Angeles. I know you won't see this, Roberto, but if you do, man, get in touch with me through the comment section. I'd really like to talk to you about some other things that might help you, so you can make some money. And in the meantime, while you're doing your other things that you want to do in life, but some things you can do legally and start making money quickly, because I know that's important. It'll help you a lot. Anybody knows him? If you could give him that message, I'd really appreciate it. God bless you all, your families, your loved ones. Today's Easter Sunday. Just God bless you. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your freedom, and stay free, people. Whatever you do, man, stay free. Don't get caught up in the courts, because that's where it all starts, and sometimes that's where it all ends. Okay? Be very careful, people. Stay safe, stay free. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.